Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session. Today we have Magnus Ekeroth, Senior Vice President Sales and Marketing from Bosch. He will present to us the power to predict, know what's next. Please note that this session is recorded. If you do have any question, there's the chat box on the right side, and ask any question. We will make sure to answer after the presentation. Thank you. Magnus?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Martin, for the nice introduction. Hello to everybody, wherever you may be in Europe, Middle East, or Africa. Unfortunately, we have to do this virtually because of the situation we're in. I hope you all and your families and friends are safe and sound, and I hope they remain so. With that in mind, I will today take about 30 minutes of your time to discuss a little bit the power to predict. Shortly about myself, I've been in this 20 plus years within this industry. I'm sure that I know many of you throughout my career in working a lot in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I was part of the team that created the first networking camera now many years ago, and also was part of the team that started to work with Genetec many years ago. So it's a very dear part for me to be part of giving you this speech today. With that in mind, I will give you a little background to what we're going to speak about today. I'm sure you know quite a bit about this, but some of the market developments we're looking at too. All of us are in a very attractive marketplace. We have a marketplace that's looking at about 7.7% growth, so almost 8% growth per year up until 2024. That's what we can see now. Now, many of you probably ask yourselves, what does that mean? What is COVID? What was actually the effect of COVID? Well, for you who doesn't know, but 2020 was, to say, a lost year. Of many years of having a very good growth, the video market was actually taking a little bit of a step down during 2020, as many other markets. Not as much as other markets, but it did take a step back. Therefore, 2021 is believed to be back on the levels of 2019. But we are going to see a further growth, and one of the things that are fueling this growth is the data. The amount of data that is being produced, needs to be processed, need to be viewed and analyzed, will increase manyfolds. There are advances in technology that we will see. The edge computing, the networking, we have other things such as 5G. We don't know the full effect of it, but that all manufacturers and also system integrators are looking into this, that is for sure. How will that actually be used? And also that also using cameras, but also other sensors to predict, to be able to sense and trying to analyze what is happening. Well, video usually is usually vision, but also sound. We can look at other things such as smoke detection, such as other things that will be connected to a completely different level. This means that we're standing in front of what I usually call the third paradigm shift. The first paradigm shift took place around the mid 2004, 2005, and that's really when the market really took a step from being predominantly analog to digital, to IP. That was the first step. The next step, many of you will remember, took place around the 2011, 2012 time. That was the megapixel race. Higher resolutions, people were looking for more and more and more resolution. And then the market kind of quieted down and set itself in a more trusted marketplace for this. And the next paradigm shift are what we believe now is the artificial Internet of Things, or AIoT. This means that the IoT part collects data and the AI helps to understand and use the data. Basically machine learning, basically to be able to predict and to train our systems to be more predictive in their approach and be able to sense prior to an event occurs rather than to be reactive. Because we need to understand the marketplace we're in is still a quite reactive marketplace. We have a camera, we have a software, we can search of it, but at the same, it needs to have someone who triggers a response to make some kind of an action to that, a manned response or an automatic response. That means that also the AI center will be at the center. That's such what Genetec is doing today. And also on the edge, Therefore, the combined work relationship between Bosch and Genetec is so important, because we are actually each other's sparring partners in this. What should be on the edge, what should be on-prem or in the cloud, is something that we are working very well together on. Up to the right, you will see a box which says data-driven. That means that customers out there have, and there is an increased demand for video data-driven solutions. That means a picture tells more than 1,000 words is truly becoming more and more interesting. However, the actual image quality will take a different need in the next few years. I perhaps do not need to be able to see all the details, because the computer in the camera or the computing power of the AIoT solution will actually be able to take a lot more out of the picture than the human eye can do. And that's what's becoming quite interesting for us to look at. And that needs the drive for the extracting of the semantics of the data, rather to cut away the unnecessary things from an image and go to more in the data of what the picture actually, what is the meaning of the picture. And that comes to the last two boxes, where Bosch puts a very strong place, and that's why we are also putting a very strong commitment together with Genetec. That is the trust. We need to have solutions that are capable, durable, and secure by design. Cybersecurity, the amount of actually being able to trust and to not be breached, but also that you can trust that we are working and using the customer's data that fulfill all the rules and regulations, and also can be done in a very moral and ethical way. And the last but not least is the green part, the responsibility part here, that we take a demand, that we have to answer the demand and the need for sustainable choices and behavior. Environment. We are, if I may use big words, we're not here only for us today, but also for generations to come. And Bosch, for Bosch Corporate, with over 410,000 employees, this is at center of everything that we do. And we see that within the video solutions as well. With further ado, I'll give you a short thing.
If you could expect the unexpected and know what's next. Because if you know what's next, you can uncover new business opportunities, create new revenue streams, reduce operational costs, have the power to predict future events, and prevent unwanted situations from happening, strengthening the protection of people and property. The Internet of Video Things has emerged as the next generation IoT, offering new possibilities to make this happen. Bosch has been at the forefront of this new market trend from the very beginning, offering AIoT solutions that enable the use of rich and versatile visual data in new ways. AIoT video solutions add sense and structure to video footage directly at the source, supporting predictive analytics by bringing together rich contextual and behavioral information, helping you to respond before a situation occurs in security, and much more. Our solutions are designed around your needs and built on trust, delivering the right performance, durability, and security by design. And at the same time, supporting sustainable business practices like remote management. Our ultimate goal? To give you the power to predict and to know what's next. AIoT video solutions from Bosch. Predictive, sustainable, trusted.
Well, thank you very much for that video. It's, of course, a very simple presentation to make if I would play videos, but the video is meant to be as a kind of an introduction to the real power to predict part here. The video shows the essence of what we would like to achieve. Of course, it's a marketing message, but all the things that we are showing in this video is something that we actually do and that we have been doing for many, many years. The parts that we will take part of today are actually the three things that you see up to the right on the screen here: the predictive, sustainable, and trusted. We are focusing today on the predictive part, but I will very briefly touch upon the sustainable and trusted parts again, as I also showed in the slides before. What we are doing, what we mean with predictive, is that we can combine the built-in AI in the products that we already launch on the edge, together with the connectivity and IoT between us and also with Genetec as a partner, to clearly understand what customers would like to see and understand it prior to something happens. We all know from this industry a lot of different examples where we are reactive, but we are taking this one step further now to be predictive. Imagine if you could foresee a behavioral situation where before an aggression turns to violence, that you can break it up. Before you can estimate that the person will slip and fall, so you can actually then say, please go left rather than right, because you might slip, to save insurance money, or to be able to understand how a retailist will be able to understand from their marketing money how they will spend in order to be smarter in their merchandising, for instance. But also how we can then, through this, enable smart and sustainable solutions that really offset carbon CO2 emissions, or the carbon dioxide that we are now alluding into the air. And the last, that all of our solutions, both from Bosch and from Genetec, are built on a foundation of trust. There is a trust as between us as separate entities, but also as we come together in a partnership. And with that, the message that I would like to bring today is that we deliver the power to predict, enabling you guys to understand what's next. And without further ado, I will go into what this means and get in the forefront of this AIoT part. This is nothing new. Bosch actually started this around 2016, where we made some smart AI-based solutions for assisted review. That means we assisted in a review of someone, a person that sits on a security center that needs to review this, or automated through a Genetec software, for instance. And as you see to the right, we have over 20 plus years of integrations together with Genetec. We have a full video analytics support since 2016, and we are doing all these different things, as you see from the blue and pink buttons here, together with Genetec. So it's a very close relationship that we've had over years, and we'll continue to take that onto it. But what I would like to say is that comes a break in 2020, where we really put our foot on the gas to increasingly started to, at a much, much higher level, also further to develop ourselves and our technology within this thing. And that means AI at the edge, in the cameras, with a portfolio of built-in video analytics, but also AI at the center with, for instance, in-store analytics that are specific verticals that you will also be able to get to the Genetec suite of products. And also offering the right capabilities and secured by design and the durability on these things from the cameras and solutions that we have done for many, many years. We believe that when we're breaking this into it, you need to take a very responsible and coherent choice. There are a lot of vendors out there, and there is a big business for everybody to make. That's understood. But we need to be very careful of how we're going about with the data and the choices that our customers will make with this. These are sometimes very sensitive information that are ruled by laws and regulations. And also you can, of course, understand the implications that will have for all of us if we're not dealing with this in the right way. Hacks, or we are using this in unethical behavior ways, or our moral standards are not up to this. So it actually combines both technology and a set of ethics that are very important to remember here. And I'm sure many of you have seen that in the last few weeks, there have been some quite a few hacks. And those hacks are things that we, both Genetec and Bosch, stand at the sense of us that is nothing that we can't allow to happen. We also, something that we are working also with open platforms. We have an open platform called Intiox, which is an open platform where we enable people, customers, that if they feel that Bosch have some or many applications, but there are some applications that we are lacking perhaps, then we're having an open platform that people actually can download that from what we call a SaaS web store, which is a thing they can download specific applications. But there will also be applications that Bosch develops that we put on this platform. That means that regardless if you're running Linux or if you're running Android or if you're running another system, we will be open for you and be able to facilitate that kind of solutions. And we're also designing around our customers. So we have a lot of end users using our UX. So the user experience is a very big part within Bosch. Everything from what we have started of course, in the mobility part, which is the larger part of Bosch, even and to the part of the security, understanding the situational awareness, understanding the world around you and your customers, and customizing and learning solutions on this. And you can think about this because we started at earlier with something called Camera Trainer, but we are now taking this even step with further. If we get access to the data, we will be able to the AIoT solutions to train different solutions in different positions at different situations for different in different verticals, for instance. So we can reduce the amount of false positives, we can increase the amount of certainty, and through that reduce false alarms and save cost for the end users. And we do this on a very regular basis and in very, very different verticals, because an intelligent traffic solution is a completely different vertical than the retail, which is a completely different if you go to logistics, which is completely different if you go into government building or peripheral security, for instance. The data consolidation augmentation is something that we're using. We have something what we call intelligent insights, which be able to actually collect the data and store it and facilitate it in a much more easier way. We are now up to the generation Y, I believe, or generation Z, which means that our children, if you look at me, I'm a little bit older, but if you're looking also at some of the other kids that are coming out that become the decision makers now and within a couple of years, they are used to the information at the fingertip. They do not want to click through and write in a lot of different commands. They are used from an early age of smartphones, of iPads, etc., and used to use a very smart way of using that. So the interfaces become so important in the augmentation and data consolidation. And our aim is to become the predictor, to know what's next, to be able to go from reactive to proactive, to be able to go from today an assisted review to a predicted review, understanding before it happens. So if you know what's next, you can actually predict unforeseen and future events. You can foresee that this might be a car crash. You might foresee that this will be that there will be a huge traffic line at this time. You might be able to then to draw the information that maybe I should take my car 15 minutes later. I should take this road rather than that. Because also at this time, the subway, there are a lot of people walking up the subway from the subway exit to go to the office, for instance. You will be able to predict that when the marketeers of a clothing company do an ad campaign, they will be able to track the demographics of people going into a store, that being able to see how they move around the store to go for the goods that you've done, and through that, draw the data out so you can sharpen your ad campaign a lot better to the next thing. This means that we can, on one thing, prevent unwanted events from happening. Of course, the shoplifter in the store, but uncover new business opportunities by using the same camera and the Genetec software in this case in order to uncover new business opportunities, i.e. the marketing or smart merchandising. This means that we strengthen both the protection of people and property, but we're creating new revenue streams for you as integrators, because you will be able to address a much, much larger market. And for us as vendors, that we actually spread outside of the normal security business into something that the end users truly want. So, as I said, this is not something which is 10 years down the road. This is actually something that we've already started. So on top, you see some building blocks for this assisted review going into predictive solutions. So for our side as Bosch, we have gone on using essential video analytics. This is what you can buy today, which is, as it was, essential. It's built into all the products that we do on the lower range of the product. So even for a very cost-efficient product, you will get essential video analytics in the product. Well, our market, as you know, on the camera side, or on the, let's say, on the hardware side, is being consolidated at a very, very fast rate. So it's Moore's laws in application. You actually, technology over time always becomes cheaper and cheaper. This means that we help using the EVA, we use that as a first step to build predictive solutions. Then we came into the intelligent video analytics and camera trainer, which basically means that we take the data and train our solutions to be able to be smarter and more intelligent in the next version that we're doing out. We can tailor this to the various customer needs that you have there, i.e. verticals, volume-based, it could be on certain installations that need to that, and we can provide both generic security applications and go beyond that. We go from the scene to screen, the situational awareness, where we consolidate the augmentation from different sensors, camera, sound, smoke, etc. But we also create the decision center to support for informed decisions, to reduce false alarms, and to increase the hit rate of being on the response time. And we are open to more powerful and platforms out there if we see that customers have specific things. Therefore, shortening the development time in order for our own solutions. So we can both do this, but we can also do certain injections of other platforms into our own, and it all works seamlessly together. That leads up to the video analytics based on deep learning. This means that there is a self-learning in the solution with calibration capabilities. So I can reduce the amount of raindrops on the lens. That's only rain. A spider that crawls over the lens will not set off an alarm. I can cut out, and I can actually train what is a bus, what is a car, what is a bike. And I can tell the camera and the solution and the operator, don't worry, the bike moves slower, and therefore you need to be more careful in this. And therefore you can predict patterns. You can predict accidents, what will happen further on. This makes it ideal for customization, verticals. It becomes beyond security applications I mentioned before. And we are now bringing up, which we call the OC models from MIC and Autodome, which basically are specific, very powerful units in verticals where the first ITS products are being launched as we speak. So what are those AIoT video assistants from Bosch? What do they look like? Today, we have 3 different steps that we're doing. The first one, understanding semantics of video data in built-in AI. This is a picture, a lot of vendors have it in the picture. It's just the amount of data that your camera will be able to possess on the edge. So if a lot of people doing it, you can say that you do it. It's all about the quality of that data. If you get the wrong quality, you will get a lot of false alarms. If you get a lot of false alarms, you have to respond to that, because you cannot be the person who's calling for the wolf. You're calling for the wolf 9 times. Everybody's being afraid. And the 10th time when the wolf is already there, then you say, he's just joking. So what you need to do is you need to be able to trust what your technology sends out. We do that. The next part is that we are bringing out a full AIoT product portfolio. It's enabled for it, it has the applications for it, and you are future-proof. It's built in as a standard. And our video analytics are supported by Genetec. That means that you can improve the levels of security of both having on the edge through the camera, in the system by Genetec, and as a complete solution that you can bring out, which means that it's seamless. You can work it very decentralized or centralized. It's all up to you as a choices or your customers. So to know what's next, what is the power to predict? So I gave you a couple of examples before. Here is a couple of other ones. The first one up that you see up to the left for intelligent transportation system. This is a true picture that you see here together in the native Genetec approach that you have here. Basically, we're using the video as a sensor. So city traffic planners can plan traffic flows. In there also, not only do we use it for security or for traffic patterns, but imagine now that what I mentioned before on the sustainable part, they can actually then also make judgments when it comes to CO2 exhaust in order to look that we are also all contributing to a more green world in a way, or that we're protecting future generations to come. This is something that if you think that it's blah blah or lip service, yes, might be, but look at your customers. Your customers will have this written in their corporate social responsibilities and their CSRs. So if you as integrators are able to show total cost of ownership, return on investment, and also addressing CSRs things, that your solutions, our solutions, can together for them save and be part of reaching their CSR target, you are actually getting one extra step together with them. But here you can also be able to predict what will happen prior to the things that will happen. If there's a car that has been approached from a camera before, he's running the wrong way. Therefore, you can actually then also connect this with road signs further down the road to say, careful, a wrong way driver on the road. You will be able to predict patterns where you see that there are, for instance, slow vehicles, or there are traffic work doing down on the road traffic works. So you can actually predict that 3 lanes will go to 2 lanes, will go to 1 lane. So you can predict the patterns of what will happen there, to then also to say to choose new roads, to actually be able to choose other times that you will go up and use that road. It's a complex thing, and why do we use this? Because it connects a lot of data. So if you master this, you will be able to master a lot of other solutions later on that actually contains less data. Down to the left is what we're doing with Genetec Stratocast, that basically where we, or you or your customers reliably can monitor the different premises from everywhere. And here, it might seem a simple thing, but there is this thing of going from decentralized to centralized, the saving cost. Offices that would like to centralize the approach to actually to be more cost efficient in their security approach of their premises. And last but not least, all the different products that Bosch is bringing out in order to support this strategy. A few words before I end on sustainability. So what we have done is that we have actually CO2 neutrality. Bosch, as the first major industry group in the world, were able to achieve the CO2 neutrality overall in all our factories and all our actions. Actually, we had that as a goal to achieve that by December 2020, and we achieved that by February 2020. We are now proud that the whole company has actually said that by 2025, we're actually claiming that we are going to be lower than 15% on the even harder environmental CO2 targets. So we're bringing this to another level. We're proud of this, and we are making a coherent contribution to this in our solutions and together with US partners. That means that from a security part, we have something that we call the Greenway Promise. All of our solutions are supporting and predict, and in the supporting and predicting help to reduce CO2. That will be lower energy spending, but also because you're smarter, you have to have less response time, you have to send out less people on the roads to look for false alarms, but you will still be able to make money out of this. It's just a different contribution in your money machine, because we understand that if you're going to make a Greenway Promise, you also have to make it so it's also financially viable for you. Further on, we also do that by using some kind of or different kind of online configuration managers, online device management, and also remote commissioning on our products. So you will be able to you'll be able to predict, you will be able to search for faults remotely and not having to be on site. This means that new revenue streams will also occur for you by selling your service maintenance agreements that you can do together with Bosch. We are not taking that money from you. We are giving you the opportunity to grab that new revenue streams. The last but not least, built on a foundation of trust. I will tell you a very, very short story about Bosch. Within Bosch, regardless of what kind of products we have, there is a saying that actually started from Robert Bosch when he founded the company in the early 1930s or 20s. He actually said that even if we within Bosch will find a product which is faulty, or it's not up to the standards that it was originally designed to be, we have, no matter the financial consequences for us, we should never release that product. We are not allowed to give a product which is substandard, even by letting our customers know that it's perhaps not working the way it should be. That is a no-go. Bosch would rather take the financial risk. This means why the trust is at the core of everything that we do, no matter if we're making the car systems, the ABS brakes that you're using on your cars, which is a Bosch engine, or a camera solution from Bosch. This means that we are capable to make this from a lot of different innovations that come up. On the durability that being used, that people have Bosch cameras that run for years and years in extremely harsh environments. It's secure by design. We have the highest end-to-end data security approach of any vendors out there on the market, which also responds and respects what Genetec has on this thing, which means that we truly have this in our core, where we say we are invented for life, and this should actually improve the quality of life through having a very secure and safe approach to what we do with our products. And to close this off, we have a few things that I would like to conclude with this. You will understand, if you're using us together with Genetec, you can be sure you have an end-to-end encryption. You have the most safest, the most secure connection that we have. You can see that our cameras are preloaded with all the trusted certificates that are in there. There are all the different things. There's all the best bells and whistles that we do, but still we are not allowed the flexibility. But also, for instance, with the support of Microsoft Active Directory, third-party certificates on the camera, etc. So you will have full flexibility. With that, I would like to conclude. I would like to thank you. Hope you found these 30 minutes not a complete waste of your time. I hope to do that, and I'll be happy to answer your questions around how we can protect the everyday through Power to Predict, for you guys to know what's next and to drive the predictive, sustainable, and trusted work even further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Magnus. Definitely a great presentation and definitely not a waste of time. We have two questions here. The first one from Philip. When you state AI, do you mean neural net deep learning or machine learning?
Very good question, Philip. We're actually looking at the neural networks. That's the best. And the first thing, as I mentioned, we looked at we already do the machine learning, but we are now in the neural networks. That's why the data is so important. Because if we get the data, we can actually then really develop the neural networks around this. So great question, Philip. But the question is, we already do in machine learning. We are now developing the neural networks for this.
Thank you. We have another question from Michelle. Were the counters in the GSC dashboard showed in the slides obtained using TSS plugin?
This question I can take. Here you saw the Genetec traffic sense leveraging our metadata.
Yeah. Thanks, Andre.
Welcome.
Any other questions?
We do not have further question in the chat.
If there are any other questions, please be sure to send it in through the Genetec team and channel that through, and I'll be happy to answer those, of course.
And if you would like to have more information, please make sure to visit the Technology Partner booth, and Bosch will be there as well. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Magnus, for the great presentation.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thank you.